is Divya Bahal, Assistant Professor in Chemical Engineering Department at LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. The subject that we are going to continue is your nanoscience and technology. Now let's talk about top-down approach. So first of all, note down that the top-down technique, the starting material, it is generally solid, right? So for solid only, we are preferring the top-down approach. So the physical processing methods are what here? First is your mechanical method. What you're using mechanical forces to carry out the size reduction. Like we have what? Cutting, etching, grinding and ball milling, right? Another one is your lithographic techniques. Okay, in fabrication chapter you will study about what is lithographic. So here we have what? Photolithographic, electron beam lithography. Now, so note down these points. So what is top-down approach? It refers to the traditional method, right, where you are using certain tools to cut, mill and shape materials into desired shape and order. So breaking down the bulk matter into its basic building block. That is the gist of top-down approach. Understand it this way. You have a big wall. Okay, one wall is there. What you are doing, step by step, you are taking out each brick. Here brick is what? It is the building block. So from wall, you are reducing its size to a single brick. So that is your top-down approach. From bulk material, you are reducing it to its basic building blocks. Right? So yeah, how it is done? Slicing or successive cutting is happening here. Crushing, milling, grinding. Okay. Now, it is not suitable for preparing uniformly shaped material. It's but natural when you are crushing it, milling it. It is not necessary that uniform size particles would be formed. Right? So what are the methods generally which can form? Chemical, thermal or mechanical methods can be involved here. Now some more notes that the top-down approach methods, okay, they require large installation, huge capital, okay, and it is quite expensive. Let's take example of jaw crusher. We know that it acquires a large amount of space, okay. One more important thing is that it is not at all efficient. In mechanical operation, you might have studied that only 2% of the total energy which is supplied to it, okay, only 2% energy that is used to reduce the size. Rest 98% energy that is wasted in form of sound, thermal, okay, in that form of energy, your total supplied energy is wasted. So it is very expensive because its operational cost is high. Now, so one more point, you cannot use top-down approach methods for large scale production. They are generally used for experimentation purpose. Okay. Now, what are the list of certain techniques or methods which are involved in top-down approach? First is SPM, that is scanning probe microscopy. It is used for synthesis and characterization purpose. Then you have classic methods like cutting, etching, grinding. Okay. Then in the form of lithography, you have electron beam lithography. Another method is ion implantation. So what here happens, that you modify the existing surface of your material. Next is your bottom up approach. So from the figure you can see that I have two small molecules, atoms, okay, these are the smallest entity, okay. When these two molecules or atoms, when they merge together, you get a big molecule, a cluster, okay. So that is your bottom up approach. From smallest entity you are building it up to a bigger molecule. Now note down here, so during the assembly process, what happens? The physical forces which act on your nanostructure, they are used to combine the particles to a larger one. Okay, let's talk about those physical forces. So we know that for atoms, covalent bond, it is one kind of force of attraction, okay. Because of covalent bond, your two molecules or atoms, they join together. Similarly, van der Waals force of attraction. So these physical forces which act at the molecular level, they are responsible for the assembly of your small entities to form a big molecule, right? So you can see here, for synthesis of complex nanostructures, the nanotechnologists, generally nanotechnologies, they prefer bottom-up approach. Why it is more preferable approach? Because you have precise control of particle size. You can easily control the size of particles. When you can think that your desired size has been formed, you can stop the process. As particle size is almost accurate, you get good optical, electronic and other properties, right? So let's see, in bottom-up synthesis, there is less wastage and strong covalent bonds are formed which hold the constituent part together. Then this technique is limited to how big structure can be formed. Okay, your nanoparticle, as you need to keep the size in nano level range, so this is limited up to that technique only, from that size only. So example is DNA. We know that DNA, how it is formed. Amino acids, when they join together, okay, and the systematic sequential arrangement of those amino acids, that result in the formation of your DNA. So what is the size of DNA we studied? It lies up to 50 nanometer in range. Okay, so how it is formed? There is a sequential arrangement of amino acids which are joined together by covalent bonds. Okay, so that is your DNA. So now what are the methods which can be included here? We have chemical synthesis, self-assembly and molecular fabrication, right? So another important part about bottom-up synthesis is that your all bottom-up techniques, the starting material, it can be either gas or liquid, right? So now another important point, that bottom-up, it refers to the methods which create themselves. Okay, they create themselves, so that is called as self-assembly. Once again, what we saw the example of DNA, okay, the sequential arrangement of amino acids. How that sequential arrangement of amino acids happen? Because of the formation of bond, covalent bond. When the molecules, they have that tendency, when they have that physical force which is present together, they are forming themselves. Okay, so bottom up refers to those methods in which nanoparticles are created by themselves because of the presence of those physical forces. Physical forces like what? Covalent bond, van der Waals force of attraction, right? Now in bottom up approaches, you have further two kind of processing. It can be the physical processing or it can be chemical processes. So what is your physical processing? Okay, it is also known as thermodynamic equilibrium approach, right? So what happens here? First of all, there is generation of a supersaturation, right? Then we have nucleation and then you have subsequent growth. Supersaturation means what? Your solvent, right? Try to relate it with your crystallization. Your solvent, it has certain amount of solute. But if you are increasing the concentration of solute, then it is called as supersaturated. And then starts the nucleation process. Okay, the seeds of your solute, what happens? The solute, they try to agglomerate together, right? So that is your nucleation. And then on those seeds, subsequent growth happens. Next is your chemical processes. It is also known as the kinetic approach. If reaction is carried out, you need to work on chemical kinetics, right? So that is your kinetic approach. So how you can control the chemical processing? If you are limiting the amount of precursors which are responsible for the carrying out the reaction. Okay, so if you are limiting the amount of precursors for the growth confining in a limited space, then you can control its processing. Okay, so that is important in chemical processing. So now about the techniques which are involved in your bottom-up synthesis. For the physical techniques, what are there? You have physical vapor deposition, evaporation method, sputtering, plasma arching, laser ablation. Okay. Then in chemical techniques, you have chemical vapor deposition. Then in that you have PECVD, right? That is plasma and enhanced chemical vapor deposition. MPECVD, it is microwave plasma enhanced chemical vapor deposition. Other than that, for self-assembly methods, okay, for self-assembly which solely depends on self-assembly of molecules, you have sol-gel method, electrolytic deposition, microemulsion route and pyrolysis. Okay. Now about the growth kinetics, nucleation and growth process. Let's focus on this topic, nucleation and growth process. So synthesis of nanoparticle, it is combination of two stages. First nucleation happens and then the growth. Okay. So nucleation is the process whereby nuclei, seeds, okay, they act as a template for crystal growth, right? So let's see here. So your nucleation, it is the first step in the formation of either a new thermodynamic phase or a new structure via self-assembly or self-organization. Okay, try to relate crystallization method, right? Formation of sugar crystals. Nuclei, seeds, first of all it is formed, and then self-assembly is there. Okay, all the sugar solute crystal, okay, solute particles, they try to attach, they try to growth on their nuclei. Okay, so that is what self-assembly or self-organization. Now, nucleation is typically defined to be the process that determines how long we have to wait before the new phase or self-organized structure appears. Your sugar crystals, see, they are solid in nature. New phase has been formed. From what? From a liquid phase, right? So we have to wait such that they self-assemble and your crystals are formed. So nucleation is often found to be very sensitive to the impurities in the system, right? Again, in nucleation we have two types, heterogeneous and homogeneous. So the nucleation of critical nuclei forming at defects such as surface imperfection, grain boundaries, it is known as heterogeneous nucleation. If a defect is there in your surface and then nucleation occurs, that is your heterogeneous. Homogeneous is when it happens spontaneously, okay. At random, it occurs randomly away from a surface, right? So it typically occurs at 80 to 300 degrees Celsius. So now another classification of your bottom-up synthesis is based on the phases, right? What we saw that the starting phases can be gas or liquid. For gas phase fabrication, what you have? Physical vapor deposition and chemical vapor deposition. Whereas for liquid phase, what are the techniques? You have wet chemical synthesis like sol gel, self-assembly monolayer, microemulsion method, spray pyrolysis, etc. Okay, so this is the classification in bottom-up synthesis approach based on the phase of the starting material. So for physical methods, you can see that if your starting phase is what? Gas phase. How it occurs? First of all, your precursor, it can be solid, liquid or gas. Okay, on evaporation, suppose you are getting a precursor in gas phase. Okay, then a gas phase reaction occur or supersaturation occur. So that leads to the formation of an intermediate which further undergoes nucleation, right? On nucleation, then grain growth occur. From nucleation, which is your seed, right? Now because of self-assembly, that nuclei will grow and you will get your nanoparticle. If agglomeration occurs, then you get your nanoclusters, right? So how you can divide it? First of all, precursor is occurring, okay, precursor vaporization is there. Your precursor vaporization, it mainly involves what? A catalyst. A catalyst is responsible for providing the precursor. Then nucleation carries out, okay, then growth stage. Whereas for chemical methods, if your starting phase is liquid phase, once again your precursor, if it is solid liquid, a liquid phase reaction is going to occur or a liquid solid phase reaction, an intermediate is formed. That intermediate on nucleation, okay, a primary particle which is also known as a seed, that is formed. Now further growth will occur, okay, grain growth or agglomeration, and then hence you get your nanoparticles or nanoclusters. Once again try to relate crystallization, formation of sugar crystals. Base is what? Liquid sugar solution. From that you are getting a new thermodynamic phase, that is solid crystals, right? So now let's see comparison of top-down and bottom-up approach, okay? So in top-down approach, what are the advantages? First is you can carry out a large-scale production. Don't get confused that initially I told you that you cannot use top-down approach for large-scale production. It is mainly used for laboratory purpose. Okay, see, if you are having a very big instrument, you can always use it for a large-scale production. But in disadvantages, you can see it is expensive technique. Just because it is expensive technique, we are not using it for large scale production. But As equipment is large, you can use it for large scale production if expense is not a criteria, right? Then chemical purification is not required. Whereas what it is disadvantages, first of all, yield. We know that we cannot obtain uniform size product, so broad size distribution of particles is achieved, right? You can see from 10 to 1000 nanometer is the size range of your obtained nanoparticles. They are not uniform in size. Then particle shape or geometry is very different. Some of the nanoparticles might be in 1D, one dimension, okay, it can be in 2D dimension also, in 3D also. Then control over deposition parameter is difficult to achieve. Of course, in your equipment, there is possible that deposition of your nanoparticles is happening. So you cannot control that. Then impurities. What are the impurities here we are talking about? Stress, defects and imperfections are always there. And foremost important thing, that it is very expensive technique. Now about your bottom-up approach, what are the advantages? That you can achieve ultra-fine nanoparticles, nanoshells, nanotubes, right? Deposition parameters can be controlled here. And narrow size distribution is possible. Okay, you can see in top-down approach from 10 to 1000 nanometer how you are narrowing it to 1 to 20 nanometer size range. That is possible in bottom-up approach. Other than that, it is cheaper technique. What is the disadvantages? Large scale production is little bit difficult. Okay. Then chemical purification of nanoparticles is required. Even though large scale production is difficult, but still for synthesizing your nanoparticles, we use bottom-up approach, right? Why it is difficult? Because you have to control certain parameters. Next is colloids. Okay, so now we are going to study about colloidal method. So see, colloidal chemical methods are most useful, easiest and cheaper way to create nanoparticles. What are colloids? See, it can be organic also, inorganic also. Okay, you can see that they are gelatinous form of your solution, right? Sol gel method, that is again based on your colloid. Okay, then see, yes, you can see here colloidal methods may utilize both organic and inorganic reactants. So typically a metal salt, it is reduced, giving nanoparticles evenly dispersed in a liquid, right? Aggregation is prevented by electrostatic repulsion or the introduction of a stabilizing reagent that coats the particle surface. Aggregation, it means what? That all your solute, they are agglomerating together to form a big bulk solute entity. Okay, so you have to prevent aggregation such that uniform distribution of your small colloids is present in the overall solution, right? So how that can be achieved? By electrostatic repulsion. For that you are introducing a stabilizing reagent. Okay, so particle size range from 1 to 200 nanometer are there and are controlled by initial concentration of reactant and the action of stabilizing reagent. So try to understand, 200 nanometer you can see in comparison to 1 nanometer size is large. What does it mean? That your reactant, your solute, okay, they have agglomerated to form a big nanoparticle. So if you want to control the size of your nanoparticle, what you have to do? You have to control the initial concentration of your reactant. Try to understand it this way. If the concentration of reactant is very high, it's but natural that they are going to agglomerate together. Okay, so concentration of reactant is important for your desired nanoparticle size and amount of stabilizing reagent which you need to use. Example is formation of gold nanoparticle. So understand it. So what you are doing, if you need to prepare colloidal gold nanoparticles, okay, how you are going to form? You are combining hydrogen tetrachlorate. So this is one of the salt of gold. Au is what? Gold. It is one of the salt of gold and you are reacting it with sodium citrate in a dilute solution. So what I have, this is an inorganic reactants, right? So the citrate ions, okay, they reduce the gold ions to yield 30 to 40 nanometer gold particles. Okay, the reaction is what? Dissociation of ions, right? They reduce the gold ions to yield 30 to 40 nanometer gold particles. So you can see here what you are doing. Initially you are taking the salt of gold, then you are heating it. Okay, heating means the parameter what is important here, temperature. Then you're adding sodium citrate. After that, now your colloidal, now reaction is occurring. So finally at end you get your red color solution. It means gold nanoparticles have been formed. So what are the half reaction equation? First of all, you can see your gold ions from the salt, okay, they are getting reduced, reduction is happening. So gold solid is formed, right? So what is the citrate ions, what are they doing? On reaction with water, they are dissociating into further different kind of ions, right? So the steps are what? You are heating the solution of your chloric acid, okay, up to boiling condition. So then this salt, it is a water soluble salt, right? Then you are adding your citrate, which is a reducing agent, okay. You can see here gold ions, they are getting reduced. Then you have to stir your solution up to 10 minutes. Then you can see here the sodium citrate, as it reduces the gold salt to metallic gold. Then this neutral gold atom, they act as seed crystals, right? So you can see the purple figure, here your gold solid has been formed, they act as the seed crystals. So this seed crystals, they continue to grow and eventually gold nanoparticles are formed. Okay, so here you can see that on reduction of gold ions, you got gold atoms, okay, solid gold. So now this solid gold, they act as seed nuclei. And so you can see here, because of certain prevailing forces between those atoms, they are merging together, agglomeration is happening. So now you can see that seed crystal, 10 to hundreds of atoms have been joined together, right? So this is the growth of nanoparticle. This is the stage of growth. So you can see that if this seed, it continues to follow isotropic growth, then you get spherical nanoparticles. If anisotropic growth is there, then you get nanorods. So this isotropic and anisotropy growth, it depends on the parameters of your system, right? So this way you can see formation of gold nanoparticles.